Good morning and welcome to Better Thyself segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Today we talk of Power of Nunchi. Now, Nunchi is a Korean concept which enables you to be happy and to be successful. It is said that Korea has been invaded 800 times in history, many more times than India has ever been. And the reason for that is that its geographical position is an extremely vulnerable. It's in the site of China and Japan. Both have been expansionists. Both wanted to conquer other lands. And it's a curse for a small country to be in such a strategic location. Yet, despite all these attacks, 800 times, this small country has not survived just as a nation, but has thrived. And the reason for that is Nunchi, sometimes they call it Nunchi, is a typical Korean concept signifying a very subtle art and ability to listen and gauge other moods, thoughts. It's almost mind reading and it's almost universal in this country. I was amazed in Seoul. We were having discussions with Hyundai, and then they were poker faced and they could feel what we were thinking even. As a matter of fact, for the first time it appeared in the 17th century, and at that time they used to call it I force power, power, the force power emanating from the eyes. As a matter of fact, the easiest synonym for this in the Western culture would be emotional intelligence. About 70 years back, just 70 years back, South Korea was one of the poorest countries of the world, poorer than sub-Saharan Africa. To make matters much worse, it has no natural resources, not a drop of oil, not a mineral, but within a period of half a century, it has become one of the richest, coolest, and the most technologically advanced nations of the planet. It's the only member nation of OECD that started out as a borrower and became a lender in 50 years. And the credit for all this goes to Nunchi. As I said, this is an art of reading people's thoughts, understanding their feelings, comprehending them in relation to their needs and requirements, and improve your relationship with deeper trust, harmony, and cooperation. It is called the Korean superpower. And I've seen people even go so far to say that Nunchi is the real mind reader if you can develop it. You know, and the Korean parents teach Nunchi right from the child is born. How do they do it? Normally the parents say, look both ways before crossing the street. Don't hit your sister. Be pay respect to your teachers and the parents. But the parental chastisement in Korea is, why do you have no nunchi? Having a nunchi means continuously recalibrating your assumptions based on new words, new gestures, new circumstances, facial expressions, so that you're always present and aware. It's much more important to be prepared for everything, and you can do that if you can understand the mood of others. Nanchi is the most important ally in all discussions, in all meetings, and In Korean culture, they say it's a highly context society. Whatever you say, a great deal of communication is based not on the words. It's not really a verbal discussion, but an overall context which has countless other factors. Normally, we people think only of body language, facial expressions, but they go much more than that. The, not only the gestures, the movement of your facials, your hands, the twitching of the eyebrows, and a small wrinkle on the forehead, which many would not even notice, would reveal yourself. As a matter of fact, they say that the moment a customer enters a shop or an office, before he has taken his seat, the other person knows what he wants. Not that he has spoken, but the way the eyes dart from right to left, from up to bottom, the way you walk. And then at that time, I'm reminded what my father used to say, that a man is known by three things. And in typical Punjabi, he would say, Dastar, Raftar, Guftar. Dastar is the way you are dressed. Guftar is the way you talk. And Raftar is the way you walk. The confidence in you, the air that you carry around you, the aura that you create, all that makes. Now the question arises, can people develop Nunchi? I had done a lot of work on that. And when I first came to know about this concept, I was absolutely blank. I didn't know how Nunchi can help me prepare for the unknown. Basically, it's a journey into the unknown. But this journey you can undertake with confidence, without fear, because you can foretell and forecast the behavior and the reaction of the other person. And that's the most important part. If you can think that way, believe me, you'll be successful. But how to develop it, that's the most important rule. So I'm going to tell you today 8 rules to develop Nunchi. No, it's not going to be an one day job that I tell you and you will think about and you'll have. It needs a persistent practice. But if you practice it, you can be sure it will lead to happiness and it will lead to success. First rule, empty your mind. You know, we always say declutter. In one of my talks earlier, I had talked about decluttering your brain. Your mental declutter is required. The way you want to declutter your house. Anything which has not been used for quite some time is not required. So throw it out. Similarly, in your behavior, you have got to declutter. But in Nunchi, it's not the brain alone, it's the mind. So step back, breathe, remember not the things, but the prejudices that you have that prevent you from learning anything about people. Your prejudices, your preferences, your likes and dislikes. Now, this is a very difficult task. Let me tell you very frankly. I'm, for example, known as an extremist. If I like a person, I like to the extreme. If I hate a person, I hate to the extreme. That's my failing. So I have to develop a new attitude. So I've traveled all over the world and I found that there were different cultures, subsets of cultures, and you can't detect those things or know these things, however hard you may have studied. So if you assume that you know everything about a meeting, about going to a new country, or a date a girl, Before even you have started it, you are shutting down your senses. So empty your mind of all the prejudices. Going to Africa saying, well, these people have not been educated enough. Little knowing that they are more educated than you are. That their culture is the oldest culture in the world. As a matter of fact, anthropologically and historically, Africa is the most ancient civilization you can ever think of. But people have their mindsets. You go to Europe and you think, oh, it's a highly advanced country, forgetting that their advance is only a 6, 7 centuries. Before the 14th century, they were the dark ages. Let's be very clear. So, step back, clean your mind, breathe, breathe deeply. And then, when you are in that state where your mind is purged of your prejudices, you will have room to get more data, feed in more data. As you defragment your computer disk, you get more space. So declutter, defragment your mind. Second, remember the Nunchi observer effect. I remember I had gone to chair a meeting of the Ethnic Press Council in Toronto. And as I would enter it, I didn't feel it, but people felt it. And the Vice President Maria Saras told me, sir, when you enter it, a wave of energy seems to run in the room, as if it was a dark room and somebody has lighted hundreds of candles. So realize that fact that whether you are that powerful or not, when you enter a room, you change the room. And you have to beware of your influence. Your presence already changes the environment without you saying a single word. There is no need for a dog and pony show unless everybody seems to have dogs and ponies. You have got to connect. If you enter a meeting, a meet party, or any other social gathering, many people, the moment they go in, are boisterous, shouting, telling jokes. And that's the most stupid thing, most jarring. They think they are making a lot of social impact. Maybe people are happy at their jokes and they laugh at them. But ultimately, laugh is not with them, it is at them. Even if it's the most joyous meeting in social order, you have got to have a certain mean, certain demeanor, which is neutral, dispassionate, objective. The third step is watch the room. You have just entered the room. Everybody inside has been longer there than you. So watch them, what they've been talking, what they've been thinking. When you go in, breathe, instead of being boisterous, loud, and fury, if you are peaceful, calm, you will be able to breathe in the environment. And your mind will analyze the situation. Is it serious? Is it full of joy? Is it something lewd? Is it something academic? And so on. So watch the room, watch the human beings, the faces, watch the chairs and the tables, watch the way people are sitting or standing, watch their faces, their gestures, and the shuffling of the feet. Most important, we look at the faces, not at the feet. And if everyone is looking sad, don't try to cheer everyone until you have more data. If everyone is seated on a circle, don't try to break that circle. Don't break the activity in any way unless it's clear to you that you can contribute in a major way. As a matter of fact, people have the ability to discern when they arrive at a party and the couple hosting has just had a huge fight. But that happens only if you are paying attention. So keep your ears and your antennas tuned to the best frequency. And your attention has to be very, very sharp and multi-focused. There might be 20% in the room. There might be 100% in the room. You should know at least out of that 100, 5 to 10 most important people, and their reactions, their thoughts must be known to you. If you don't pick up any tension, you may miss something. Either food on the table, don't comment it, or you may unintentionally be hitting on the very topic they are fighting about. So keep quiet. And then, as a matter of fact, try to remain detached. But when I say detached, I say keep on observing. Fourth, learn when to shut up. I've seen people lose a good opportunity to shut up. If you wait long enough in any meeting, in any discussion, and I had numerous discussions, I found that the most of the questions I wanted to ask are answered without my saying a single word. My words are not asking the questions, but I prompt them to tell me. So either keep quiet or ask questions which may not be pertinent but which are probing. And especially when you're negotiating, this is extremely important. If you ask directly something, you can be sure you're not going to get a positive response or a clear response. But if you just keep on probing, you will get your response. You have to learn, the goal is to learn as much as possible while keeping your face a closed face. If you are making an offer for a car, for example, and the person doesn't respond to your offer, do not deal with anxiety over silence by saying anything else. Just listen. And when you are quiet, the other person would automatically say something or the other. Then observe manners. Look, this is an age when we are talking of informality, manners don't count. That's the most stupid thing. Manners count. Manners exist for a reason. And that's the difference in the schooling. When you go to a school where there are no class for teaching you manners, you can be sure that those people may be good technocrats, but they are not great leaders. Manners exist to make you a perfect human being. Manners maketh a man. Don't forget that. Don't miss manners as hoity toity. Manners are meant to make you feel comfortable, to make others feel comfortable. Maybe you want to, no, it's simple. You're having a dinner and you're going to eat. And you want to use the plate, bread plate to your right because you're in the habit of picking up the bread from the right. But then imagine your manners. Forget it. That plate to the left is your plate. And if you take the plate to the right, the person next to you is going to lose his plate. You are taking the wrong bread plate. It means someone else doesn't have one. This is one thing of manners, and there are 101 things. Read between the lines. Learn to understand the subtle nuances, the hidden meanings. People don't always say what they're thinking, that's their prerogative. If somebody seems anxious to be blunt, then it's okay. But pay attention to the context. Even the blunt people like me never say things out of context. There's always a context. And I remember in my school days, we used to be given a passage and asked, explain with reference to context. I think that stands me has helped me stand negotiations in a good stead. I always take the context, put it in the proper context, and then I can do it. In any discussion, somebody asked me a question, I put it in the context both historically, culturally, and from the point of view of the listener. If a listener is a scientist and they start talking of sociology, it's not going to help. So I've got to talk in the lingo the other understands. The initial greeting matters a lot. Don't assume that everyone does exactly like you. The minute you forget that, you have buried yourself. I know several instances of someone trying to be formal when meeting a man's extended family, only to be met with being repulsed. Imagine you go to a family and you start hugging everybody, little knowing that in a certain culture you don't hug people. I told you once the example that a guy was to go to Thailand and he came to me for advice and he was wearing a certain type of his shirt. I looked at the shirt only and I said, look, you're going to Thailand? He said, yeah. Yes, that's what I told you, Dr. Lamba. I need your advice. I said, look here, don't go there. You will not be successful. He said, what do you mean? Well, I have negotiated and everything has been done. Okay. I said, you don't want to listen. That's your prerogative. Thank you. He went there. About 15 days back, he again met me in Royal York, Toronto. And I asked, well, look, Dr. King, what happened? He said, well, they refused to sign the document. I said, yes, they would. And which shirt you are wearing? Oh, my purple shirt, that's the most beautiful shirt I have. I said, I knew it. And that's why I told you that you will not be successful because in Thailand, wearing purple is not your prerogative, it's the prerogative of the royalty to wear purple. And by wearing purple, you have put yourself at par with the king, and that Thais would never tolerate that. You are going to Saudi Arabia and you put your foot forward. You sit in a way, one leg placed on the other, as if your foot is jutting out. You will surely be shown the door without any ceremony. So understand the culture, see how people are acting, and then act. You cannot behave like that. You go to, for example, Pakistan, and you start the French bisses, that the cheek kiss, they call the bisses in China, sorry, in France. And believe it not, if you're going to hope for any contact or anything good, nothing would happen. I mean, say, kissing a girl on a cheek in Pakistan or in Saudi Arabia or in Iran is burying yourself fathoms deep. Don't hug, don't touch. These are small things, but then you need it. Then, if you cause harm to somebody unintentionally, and you think, well, it was not my intention, well, it's as bad as if you have done it intentionally. There's no impact. Intent has no impact. Let's be very clear. Intent is based on something in your head. It's not relevant to the other person. You need to get outside of your head to make people comfortable. And those people are around you. So try to create roundness. And this is true of all. When your host says, I'd love you to stay for dinner, but I don't have enough lamb, and you say, oh, it's okay, I'm a vegetarian, you are insulting the host. When they say they didn't have lamb, it's a hint for you to go. And the eighth part of being Nunchi, be nimble and be quick. Don't dawdle. Gather data quickly, process quickly, adapt quickly. Be a supercomputer. Let your mind be a supercomputer. The room you have entered 10 minutes back is not the same room that you are in now. In these 10 minutes, the whole world has changed upside down. Remember, everything is in a state of flux. And remember that it's a survival of the fittest. Not only that, it's survival of the most adaptable. And about adaptability, take it up in another subject day, in another topic. So Nunchi is not just something that's nice to have, like an ear for music or mere charm. It's a means of survival and well-being. Causing unintentional stupidities, like showing your socks the way Kenya Prime Minister wants to show, is basically due to a lack of Nunchi. And that can cause hilarious, comical situations. When President Trump says coffee 50, it causes mirth. When Justin Trudeau shows off his socks, people smile. They don't take seriously. So intent is not the impact. What you do is important, deliberate or not. The ick about Nunchi is that if you are deficient, the result would be the same. And remember, the Korean miracle has always been based on Nunchi, the ability to eye measure other nations, rapidly evolving needs, and manufacturing goods as much as quickly as they are needed, and to calibrate plans based on the universe constant. The only constant in the world is change. If you want to be expert in Nanki, change your ideas, change your thoughts, change your feelings, change your statements, and you would be happy. Otherwise, you can exist sad, unsuccessful, or mediocre. Take your pick. Thank you.